Hola people, and welcome to Yummy Chats this week. First off, I'd like to give you an update on one of my posts which talked about INEC and the bottlenecks I thought I experienced in trying to update my PVC. Fortunately for me, INEC came to my neighborhood. I went there, and what had happened is the mistake was entirely mine. So in recent times, I've been writing my first and my second name as one name. So of course, once I put that in at the first name field, no details or documents were going to come up. Once I put in, or rather, once the INEC official put in Eyemi only, all the documents, or rather all the information came up. So I have been able to validate my PVC. I have also been able to change my polling unit, and I have gotten confirmation from INEC via email. So the process does work. If it doesn't work for you, then check out the things like, how you spelt your name or how it is you now address yourself. And you may not have to stand in line for hours on end. That said, let's go on to the matters of the day. So today, as usual, maybe not as usual, it depends on the day of the week. I went out for my walk this morning and there was quite a lot of traffic. Yes, it's Monday morning, I know, but I wasn't expecting so much traffic and I was wondering why. And lo and behold, I got to the filling stations and I saw that there were queues, and I was wondering, we're still going through this. This is the middle of the year, and I think this is maybe the third or fourth time that we've experienced shortages, I beg your pardon. So I'm wondering what's going on. And I asked somebody in the oil industry, and what they said to me was that we had a conversation about deregulation, about the production of crude, etc., 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 value chain. And of course, if you're importing anything into Nigeria, you pay in foreign exchange. Dollar is normally the common denominator. And as of, I'm not quite sure what the exchange rate is now. I know that it's bordering on the 700s into the 800s, I think. I don't change money that often, but hey, what can I tell you? I know that diesel, for instance, about 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago, was at 800 naira a liter and hardly available. So those who use diesel had jerrycans lined up if they happened to find a petrol station that was selling diesel. It has affected gas prices. Gas prices have gone up from about 8,000 naira for the 12.5 kg to about 11,000, 11,500, depending on where you're buying it from. So I was like, what is going on, right? I mean, I can't eat the money, but it's a 3,000 naira rise in a very short period of time, relatively short period of time. It's huge. That said, Nigeria is not the only one who is experiencing increase in costs of services, etc., etc., etc. I have a friend who I was talking to recently who stays in the UK, and her gas prices went up from £99 a month to £299 a month. As in, my mouth was on the floor when we were having this conversation. So back to Nigeria. If we do not deregulate, to my understanding, then the gas prices, the fuel prices, the diesel prices will continue to skyrocket. I'm thinking in my mind, this is like dining with the devil with a long fork. There's no way you can not have rough on your body. So to deregulate or not to deregulate, a lot of people are going to say that, the masses will suffer. Something that I'd like to point out now, we are part of the masses. There's no I'm not really sure that there's a line between low income, medium income, and high income earners. I mean, there is a disparity, there's a huge gap. But I'm not sure that there's a middle income anymore. When people are being offered jobs and paid, 15,000 naira a month for working 20, 25 days or 24 days, it's ridiculous. That hardly even covers transportation. So what's the way forward? LNNG, as far as I know, or I've been told, supplies 40% of what we need in terms of gas. So we're importing 60%. At the rate at which the foreign exchange rise is going, there's no way that the prices of gas are going to come down. The fuel shortages I hear is because the tanker drivers who supply or who transport the diesel cannot afford to buy diesel for their trucks. So, is there a short-term solution? To my mind, no. Is there a way in which we can tackle this and there will be no pain? To my mind, again, no. What would I propose? Bear in mind that these are just my opinions. I do not work in the oil industry or the gas sector, but from the conversations I have had with those who do work in those sectors, we need to look at the value chain. So we need not only to export crude. While we can garner some money from that, we need to also, what's the word I'm looking for? Turn it into fuel right here. So we need to, it's not even kickstart anymore or jumpstart, is to, I'm not sure that we can even overhaul the refineries that we have. Because I'm thinking that being that we are Nigerians and we do not, we say we pump money into something, but we don't see the after effects. Those refineries are probably obsolete. To bring them up to speed, it's going to cost a lot of money. Do we have the money? We're quick to say that we don't, but we're in the political era and we can see that there's a lot of money going around. Imagine, dream with me, for instance, if we threw that money into building, let's say, one refinery first. Dangote's refinery is going to be up in shortest possible time, I'm told. So imagine that we start to process our crude, right? The offset or offcut of crude, let me read this so that I'm not speaking out of my mind, my head. That's not getting the investment. Okay, so once we start to process crude, right, gas is a byproduct, right? We can channel that gas, have it stored, or like is done in developed countries, pipe it to homes directly. That is not a small feat. But then we're seeing in Lagos State, for instance, where every other month, or maybe that's a slight exaggeration, but you see the roads being dug up and pipes being, or wires being, thrown into the ground, where Lagos State is working towards internet in public spaces, etc., etc., etc. So we can pipe gas to homes, even if we start with estates where it's more manageable, right? Will it be cheap? No, not necessarily. I don't believe that it would be. But if this is a process that is continued, that is maintained, that there's structures, Nigerian word, right, put in place to make sure that it works, then we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. If we continue to ship out our crude, have it processed abroad, and then ship it back in, the rate at which we're going, we'll be riding bicycles. Nigerians, we don't like, we're sort of, we're bourgeois, in caps. You can't be a minister or a senator or a House of Rep member and be riding a bicycle. There'll be no entourage, you know what I mean? So we're very funny about those kind of things. But there's also the option of cleaner energy, investment in the gas sector. These are things that I am praying and hoping that come 2023, which is a few months away, those that are elected into office will frontline. We cannot, the rate at which we're going, before December, dollar will be 1,000 naira to $1. We will not be able to afford diesel, talk less of petrol or gas. We're talking of fossil fuels to cleaner fuels, cleaner energy. While I see a whole lot more solar panels on houses, how is that working in terms of the masses, in quote? Can they afford solar? Can they afford an inverter? Can they afford to move, to make that shift to cleaner energy? As we can see, fossil fuels are failing us, since we are doing it backwards instead of frontwards. Solutions, I think I've mentioned this before, and it bears mentioning again. Let us tackle our refineries. We can do it one at a time. Let's also bring to the forefront, or rather invest in the gas sector, so that all that flaring that is going nowhere, we can capture it, right, and bring it to use. The more of something there is available, invariably, Nigeria is a peculiar market, but invariably, the less it should cost in theory. Can it work in practice? We won't know until we do it. So this is an appeal to those who are going into government to look at ways in which we can harness the amount of resources we have available to us and make it work for the larger good of the people, the masses, in quote, and not the minority. Until I come your way again next week, Monday, my name is Ayemi Olivia, and this is Ayemi Chats. You all have a great week.